I ruined everything. 6 days before we were supposed to get married, I destroyed the most beautiful thing that ever happened to me. I destroyed us. The wedding dress is still hanging in your closet. The flowers were ordered. Our families were flying in. You were glowing with happiness, talking about our honeymoon, about our future, about forever. And I took all of that hope, all of that joy, and I crushed it with my own hands. I cheated on you. 3 weeks before our wedding day, I threw away 4 years of love, of building a life together, of planning our future. I threw away the person who loved me more than I deserved to be loved. There's no excuse for what I did. There's no explanation that makes it okay. There's no universe where you deserved what I put you through. I was supposed to protect your heart, and instead, I shattered it into pieces. You gave me your whole heart, and I broke it. You trusted me with your forever, and I betrayed that trust in the worst possible way. The guilt is eating me alive, but that's nothing compared to knowing that I'm the reason you cried yourself to sleep every night this week. I'm the reason you had to cancel everything we dreamed about together. I hate myself for what I did to you. I hate that I became the kind of person who could do this to someone they love. You remember that business trip I took to Chicago 3 weeks ago? The conference I said I had to attend? I lied. There was no conference. I went there to meet someone I'd been talking to online for 2 months. Someone who meant absolutely nothing to me, but who I convinced myself was worth risking everything for. I told you I loved you the morning I left. I kissed you goodbye at the airport and promised to call you every night. And then, I spent 3 days living a completely different life, pretending I wasn't engaged, pretending I wasn't about to marry the most incredible person I'd ever met. I don't even know how it started. It was just messages at first, then phone calls, then video chats when you were asleep. I told myself it wasn't real, that it was just fantasy, just harmless flirting. But it wasn't harmless. Every message I sent was a betrayal. Every conversation was me choosing someone else over you. When I got to Chicago, I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew I was about to cross a line I could never uncross. I stood outside that hotel room for 10 minutes, and I thought about you. I thought about your laugh, about the way you curl up next to me when you're cold, about how excited you were when I proposed. I thought about the life we were building together, and then I opened the door anyway. I spent 3 days with someone whose name I can barely remember now, someone who didn't know me, didn't love me, didn't care about my dreams or my fears or my future. Someone who was just there, available, different, and for some sick reason, that felt exciting. But the whole time, even in the worst moments, I knew I was making the biggest mistake of my life. I knew I was destroying something precious for something meaningless, and I did it anyway, because I'm selfish and weak, and nowhere near the person you thought you were going to marry. Coming home to you was torture. You were so happy to see me, so excited to tell me about the final wedding preparations. You'd picked up your dress, confirmed everything with the caterer, finished addressing the last of the invitations. You were radiant with joy, and I felt like poison just being near you. For 2 weeks, I carried this secret like a weight in my chest. Every time you touched me, I flinched. Every time you talked about our wedding, I wanted to disappear. Every time you said you loved me, I felt like the worst person who ever lived because I knew I didn't deserve it anymore. I should have told you immediately. I should have confessed the moment I walked through the door and begged for your forgiveness. I was terrified of losing you, so I tried to pretend it never happened. I tried to bury it and move forward like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I had changed. I wasn't the person you fell in love with anymore. I wasn't the person who deserved to stand at an altar and promise you forever when I'd already broken every promise that mattered. The night I finally told you, you were showing me the seating chart for the reception. You were so proud of how you'd arranged everything, making sure all our families would get along, making sure everyone would have a good time. You looked so beautiful sitting there with all those papers spread out, planning our perfect day. When I said I needed to tell you something, you smiled and said, "What is it, babe?" Like you expected good news, like you trusted me completely. And I had to watch that smile disappear as I told you what I'd done. I had to watch your face crumble as you realized everything you'd planned, everything you'd dreamed about, was falling apart. You didn't scream. You just sat there, staring at me like you were seeing a stranger, and then you started crying. Not the angry kind of crying, but the heartbroken kind that sounds like something dying inside you. Why? You kept asking. Why would you do this to us? Why would you do this to me? And I had no answer that wasn't completely pathetic. Because I was bored? Because I was scared of commitment? Because I'm fundamentally broken in some way that makes me destroy good things? You took off your engagement ring that night and put it on the kitchen counter between us like it was something that hurt to touch. I can't marry you, you said, and your voice was so small, so broken. I can't marry someone who could do this to me. And then you packed a bag and left, and I haven't seen you since. It's been 6 weeks since you left, and I've had nothing but time to think about what I did, about who I am, about what I threw away and why I threw it away. The silence in this apartment is deafening. Everything here reminds me of you, of us, of the life I destroyed. I keep thinking about that morning when I left for Chicago. You made me coffee and packed snacks for my flight like you always did. You worried about whether I'd remember to take my allergy medication. You kissed me goodbye and said, "Miss me while you're gone, okay?" And I promised I would. But I didn't miss you. I pushed thoughts of you away so I could enjoy betraying you. I compartmentalized my love for you so I could pretend, for a few days, that I was someone else. Someone single, someone free, someone who didn't have the most amazing person in the world waiting for them at home. I've been going to therapy, trying to understand why I did this. Dr. Chen says some people self-sabotage when they're afraid of happiness, when they don't believe they deserve good things. She says maybe I cheated because getting married felt too real, too permanent, too scary. But honestly, I think it's simpler than that. I think I'm just selfish. I think when someone offered me attention and excitement and novelty, I took it because I wanted it, regardless of the cost. I put my own momentary desires above your happiness, above our future, above everything we'd built together. The worst part is that it meant nothing, absolutely nothing. I can barely remember what we talked about, what we did, why it seemed so important at the time. It was empty, meaningless, forgettable. And I traded you, brilliant, loving, irreplaceable you, for that emptiness. I think about our wedding day that never happened. I think about you in that dress I'll never see you wear, walking down an aisle I'll never be waiting at the end of. I think about the vows I wrote that I'll never get to say, about the future we planned that will never exist. I think about you trying to explain to your family, to our friends, why everything was suddenly canceled. I think about the humiliation you must have felt, the questions people asked, the pity in their eyes. And I know that's all my fault. I did that to you. I know you're probably never going to see this. I know you blocked me on everything, changed your number, moved in with your sister. I know you don't want to hear from me, don't want my apologies or explanations or pathetic attempts to make this right. But I needed to say this, even if it's just to the empty room we used to share. I needed to tell the universe how sorry I am, how much I regret what I did, how desperately I wish I could take it all back. You were everything to me. You were my best friend, my partner, my home. You were the person who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, who supported my dreams even when they were bigger than I was, who loved me through all my flaws and failures. You were the person I wanted to grow old with, have children with, build a life with. And I threw it all away for 3 days with a stranger who didn't matter. I betrayed the love of my life for something that was over before it began. I am the stupidest, most selfish person who ever lived, and I will regret this for the rest of my life. I want you to know that what I did had nothing to do with you. You were perfect. You were everything anyone could want in a partner. You were loyal and kind and beautiful and smart and funny and everything I never deserved. My betrayal was about my own brokenness, my own weakness, my own inability to appreciate what I had. I hope you find someone who deserves you, Someone who would never dream of hurting you the way I did. Someone who sees your worth and protects your heart like the treasure it is. Someone who chooses you every single day, in every single moment, without hesitation or doubt. I hope you wear that wedding dress someday for someone who will stand at the altar and mean every word of their vows. Someone who will love you the way you deserve to be loved, completely, faithfully, forever. I hope someday you can think about the good times we had without feeling angry. I hope you can remember how happy we were before I ruined everything, and I hope those memories can exist separately from the pain I caused you. If there's any part of you that might someday find it in your heart to forgive me, not to take me back, I know that's impossible, but just to forgive me so you can let go of any anger you're carrying, I want you to know that would mean everything to me. But if you never forgive me, I understand that too. Some betrayals are unforgivable. Some trust, once broken, can never be repaired. I love you. I will always love you, even though I know I lost the right to say that. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I'm sorry I wasn't the best thing that ever happened to you. I'm sorry I cheated on you. I'm sorry I lied to you. I'm sorry I broke your heart when you were at your happiest. I'm sorry I ruined our wedding, our future, our forever. I'm sorry I wasn't the person you thought I was. I'm sorry I wasn't the person you deserved. Take care of yourself. You deserve all the happiness in the world, and I'm sorry I'm not the one who gets to give it to you. I love you, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.